October 16th, 1946. Inside a Nuremberg gymnasium, 10 men walked to the gallows. But here's what they don't tell you. The hangman botched it. The drop was too short. Some took 28 minutes to die, strangling slowly while hitting their heads on the trapdoor. And these weren't the only Nazis America executed, not by a long shot. Some were saboteurs who landed on American beaches. Some were teenagers fighting in the final days. The youngest? He was barely old enough to shave. This is the story they buried in classified files for decades. Let's start where most people don't know this story begins. Not in Germany, right here in America. June 1942. A German U-boat surfaced off Long Island at midnight. 4 men in Nazi uniforms stepped onto American sand, carrying explosives, timers, and fake documents. Their mission? Blow up aluminum factories, railroads, and water supplies across the East Coast. Days later, another 4 landed in Florida. They called it Operation Pastorius, Hitler's plan to bring the war to American soil. Within 2 weeks, the FBI caught all 8. None of the bombs ever went off. But here's the twist. 2 of them turned themselves in. They walked into FBI headquarters and confessed everything, hoping to save their lives. President Roosevelt didn't care. He wanted them dead, fast. So he created something America had never seen before, a secret military tribunal. No jury, no appeals. And the trial would decide who lived and who died in just 3 weeks. But the ages of these men would complicate everything. August 8th, 1942. Washington, D.C. District Jail. Electric chair. 6 of the 8 saboteurs were executed within hours of each other. The wooden chair. Leather straps. 2,000 volts. 3 separate jolts to ensure death. The executioners worked through the night. The 2 who confessed? They got life in prison, later deported. But here's what changes everything. The oldest saboteur was only 39. Several were in their 20s. One was 22 years old. These weren't hardened SS officers. They were ordinary men who believed the propaganda. And America had just set a precedent. Fast forward to 1945. Germany surrenders. Now the U.S. occupies a destroyed nation filled with millions of former Nazis. Soldiers, officers, party members, and thousands of teenagers who'd been brainwashed since childhood. The question became impossible. How young is too young to execute? The military courts would soon find out, and one case would test every moral boundary America claimed to have. Nuremberg, November 1945. The world watched as 21 top Nazis faced justice. Goering, Hess, Ribbentrop, the architects of genocide. But Nuremberg was just the spotlight. Behind it, hundreds of smaller trials happened in secret. American military courts processed over 600 cases across occupied Germany. These weren't the famous names. These were concentration camp guards, SS soldiers, and Gestapo informants. And some were shockingly young. Herbert Lang was 17 when arrested. He'd served as a guard at a forced labor camp. American prosecutors wanted him hanged. Another case involved a 19-year-old who'd executed prisoners on direct orders. He begged for mercy, saying he'd be shot if he refused. The judges didn't buy it. Between 1946 and 1949, American courts sentenced 324 Germans to death in the Dachau trials alone. Not all were executed. Many sentences got reduced. But dozens went to the gallows. And the executions themselves, they were nightmares. Master Sergeant John Woods, U.S. Army executioner. He hanged 347 people during his career, and he was terrible at it. The standard drop calculation ensures instant death. The neck breaks, it's over in seconds. Woods either didn't know the math or didn't care. At Nuremberg, he set the ropes too long and the drops too short. Wilhelm Keitel took 28 minutes to die. The trapdoor was too small. Several men smashed their faces on the way down. Blood everywhere. Witnesses vomited. Some historians think Woods did it on purpose. Revenge for the Holocaust. But here's the darker truth. These executions haunted everyone involved. The chaplains who gave last rites, the soldiers who prepared the gallows, even the witnesses who attended by military order. One chaplain later said the youngest defendants disturbed him most. Kids who'd grown up knowing nothing but Nazi ideology, now facing death for crimes they committed as teenagers. And one execution would become the most controversial of all. The case that still divides historians, the Malmedy Massacre Trials. December 1944. Battle of the Bulge. SS troops executed 84 American POWs in a Belgian field, shot them in cold blood, left their bodies in the snow. When Germany surrendered, American investigators hunted down everyone involved. They found over 70 defendants. Some were officers, some were enlisted men following orders, and some were teenagers, drafted into the Waffen-SS months before the war ended. The youngest defendant was 17 years old at the time of the massacre. The trials became a controversy. Defense lawyers claimed American investigators used torture to extract confessions, mock executions, beatings, threats against families. Congress investigated. The U.S. Army reviewed every case. Many death sentences got reduced to prison time, but not all of them. Between 1945 and 1951, the United States executed dozens of young Germans whose entire adult lives had been shaped by Nazi propaganda. Some showed remorse. Others died believing Hitler's lies. And here's what nobody talks about. The executions stopped in 1951. Not because America ran out of convicted Nazis. Because the Cold War changed everything. Suddenly, West Germany became an ally against the Soviet Union. Hundreds of death sentences got quietly commuted. War criminals walked free to help fight communism. Scientists, intelligence officers, even SS members got new identities and government jobs. The same teenagers America almost executed. Many became police officers, teachers, and politicians in the new German government, which raises the question nobody wanted to answer. If these young Nazis deserved death in 1946, why did they deserve freedom in 1951? The files are still classified, and some of those men are still alive today.